I've been a brand manager for many years now, managed various Fortune 500 brands, and now work as a fractional brand manager for some amazing clients. What if I wanted to become a brand manager from scratch today? What I know now is that I would need to become an expert in 3 main areas to become a good brand manager: operations, analysis, and strategy. And the important thing is to learn these in exactly this order, and you will see why in this video. So if you've been looking for a roadmap on how to become a brand manager today and what to learn in exactly what order, then this video is for you. Pop quiz. What's the #1 reason that brand managers get fired? Answer: missing deadlines and going over budget. So this is why level 1 is becoming an operations expert. You can do this by learning the big 5 operational skills. Let's go over them and the exact tools that I would learn for each. Number 1 is project management. Brands always have multiple projects running, like product launches and campaigns. So you need to create timelines, stick to budgets, and keep everyone aligned. Big companies use old school tools like Outlook and Google Sheets, and newer, smaller companies use those, but they also use software like Monday, Trello, or Asana. The second is running marketing campaigns. So coming up with ideas, creating a brief, executing, and then measuring the success of a campaign. Most campaigns these days are digital, so it's important to know TikTok ads, Google ads, and Meta ads. You should understand how these platforms work on the back end and what are the different metrics for success. A pro tip is to learn Canva or basics of Adobe Creative Suite so that you're not overly dependent on designers and you can create some basic assets yourself. The third is budget management. This is so straightforward, and yet so many brand managers ignore good budget management practices. The skill here is to spend the brand's money wisely by negotiating with vendors, finding good deals, and optimizing campaigns. And also help the brand make more money by increasing the average order value, and also by finding new revenue sources. The main software for budgets is usually Google Sheets or Excel. I would make sure that I know SUMIFs, VLOOKUPs, and pivot tables in Excel, because that's going to help me do 90% of my work. The fourth is brand quality control. Someone's using the wrong brand logo, you catch it. Outdated product listing or images, you fix it. I would set up a brand asset management system in Google Drive where I would store all the list of products and branding and playbooks so that anyone can access them really easily. You can even use something like brand folder or binder, but I think Google Drive is probably the easiest to share with everyone. The fifth is cross-functional collaboration with other departments, so media, sales, finance, and so on. You can use Slack or Microsoft Teams, and honestly, your communication skills at this stage will make or break your career. With these big 5 operational skills, you can now start working at any brand and basically take over their operations. Companies pay good money for someone who can manage their operations reliably. The success metrics at this level are measured by: are all campaigns and projects launched on time and on budget? And are you a reliable and trustworthy person to go to for this brand? Nothing is being done last minute. The brand is cohesive both internally and externally, and all the operations run like clockwork. So congratulations! At the first level, you are now a working brand manager. Now at level 2, you have to become an analysis expert. At this level, you go from someone who just executes decisions to someone who drives decisions. So you can look at data, understand what's happening in the business, and then you can make smart recommendations and decisions about what to do next. What are the common types of data that you will be analyzing as a brand manager? First, there's business data. So this is all the business numbers like profit, loss, revenue, and so on. Second is consumer data. You get this from agencies, surveys, panels, and so on. And you're trying to understand who is your consumer and what do they want? Like what kind of products do they want, and what are their pain points, and what are their spending habits? The third is competitor data. Again, agencies can give you these figures like who's in the market and what's the market share. And you can also do your own digging to find out like who's doing what and how are your competitors positioning themselves and so on. Fourth is market data. This is everything about the trends in your category, so where it's going and where the different opportunities are emerging. All of the internal business data is available with internal teams like finance, sales, and accounting. And for the external data, you can purchase it from agencies like these. On top of this, you can also use tools like these to do your own social listening to find out what consumers are searching for and what they're saying online. Now, most of this data is usually stored in Excel files, so I would just recommend learning Excel, in particular, VLOOKUPs, SUMIFs, and pivot tables. Now, with your Excel analysis, you should have answers to important questions like where do we stand today and what should we do next? But our job isn't done yet. Next, we have to turn that into a story. Brand managers are professional storytellers. A story in this case is basically adding meanings to the numbers. So our job is to interpret the numbers and turn it into a story and concrete recommendations and next steps so that anyone can know what to do next. And so basically you take the numbers from Excel and you can turn it into a simple memo, presentation, or even just an email. And an added skill here is influence. Use the storytelling to convince brand stakeholders that our recommendations make sense and to support our business goals. And we do this by backing our recommendations with our data analysis. At this level, your success as a brand manager is measured by your understanding of the consumer and the market, your ability to understand opportunities that others miss, and your ability to lead data-driven business decisions. At this level, you're now a very good brand manager that can manage a brand of pretty much any size. The last area of expertise to unlock will make you a top 5% brand manager globally, and that is becoming a strategy expert. At this level, you are thinking 3 to 5 years ahead. You walk into a room and people listen because they can see that you have a vision for where the brand should go. The skills at this level are a little bit harder to learn because they're either soft skills or things that take a few years of knowledge and experience to learn. But you can start working on these right away, and in a few years, you're going to be ahead of 95% of brand managers who stay stuck at level 2. Number 1, industry knowledge. Strategy experts are usually industry experts. So pick an industry that you are most interested in, like FMCG or beauty or tech, and then start consuming all the books, podcasts, YouTube channels, and newsletters in that industry. You can listen to the interviews of the CEOs, read the news about the industry, about what's being launched, and also follow the trends of social media. This will expose you to so much industry knowledge that someone just can't get overnight. This knowledge will start reflecting in your own decision making and your ability to connect the dots when you're making strategy for your own brands. The second is AI and digital transformation. Top 5% brand managers of the future are going to be best friends with the tools that help them manage their brands better, faster, and cheaper. What does that look like in practice? You're using tools like Perplexity to deep dive into industry reports and doing competitor analysis in minutes instead of hours. You're using Claude or ChatGPT to analyze customer reviews and able to extract insights from hundreds of reviews. You're using tools like Midjourney to come up with the creative concepts for campaigns before you ever even send a brief to an agency. You get the idea, but here's the key. You're not just using AI as a fancy calculator. You're thinking strategically about how digital transformation changes consumer behavior entirely. How does TikTok commerce change the way people find products? How does AI personalization change what people expect from brands? How do you build a strategy that works in the metaverse and also a retail store? The brands that will dominate the next few decades are going to be led by brand managers that can bridge this gap between traditional brand strategy and this new AI and digital first world. Finally, innovation management. Top 5% brand managers are experts at creating innovation pipelines, which is just a fancy way of saying product development. What products should the brand focus on launching, and in which markets should it launch, and what does the overall brand architecture look like? Do we want to create sub-brands, or do we want to do line extensions? What do our customers want today, and what are they going to want in 5 to 10 years? There's a lot of high-level planning involved here, like thinking about risk and creating financial models to think about different outcomes. So what's the best way to start developing this skill? Just observe and think. Pick a brand that you love and think about how they evolved, like how Apple went from computers to phones to watches, or how Nike went from running shoes to a lifestyle brand. Also, study brands that failed at innovation, so like Google Glass or the new Coke, and try to figure out what went wrong. What's the core business of your favorite brand today, and what should they do next? This kind of critical thinking will start pushing you towards becoming a top-tier brand manager globally. If this roadmap was helpful, then please do leave a comment to let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.